JD, how are
Wonderful.
you?
I'm very, very fine, sir. I'm very, very excited to see you live.
Yeah, good man. Sorry the
Wow.
lighting's not the greatest in this room, but hey,
No,
hello
no, no.
Africa.
It was good to have you, coach. It was good. Like I was telling my community, you won't believe who we are going to have tonight. We are having the legendary. We are having the one and only. We are having Coach Green with us. I was telling them last year I came across your videos on YouTube, and I was hooked. I kept watching, and I spent my whole data downloading those drills, and I kept listening to each and every one of the instructions you keep giving to those players, and literally your YouTube channel has become like a course to me, because that is where I learn my drills. That is where I even learn my prep talks to my players. And I'm so excited to have you here, Mr. Green. How do you feel actually being here tonight?
It's fantastic, Chidi. First of all, listen, I'm so humbled by the messages that you sent me and how it impacted you as a coach. And that was the reason I've been doing this for decades, been doing it. And I do mentor coaches around the world, Uganda, India, Puerto Rico,
Wow.
all over. And it's just incredible. I was at the National Soccer Convention in Philadelphia last month. It's the biggest convention for coaches in the world, 30,000 coaches there.
Wow.
And I knew that probably some people would recognize me because I do have a huge following. But when I got there, it was overwhelming. I mean, when we went through the entrance of this huge, massive building, the convention center, to get to the exhibit hall, which was about 100 yards away, and it took me 2 hours every day to get to the exhibit hall. It was just, fans of Soccer Coach TV at all levels, meeting them and listening to their stories. But I would do this same thing even if it was 10 people watching. We've got over 1 million followers and probably about a third of a million subscribers, and it's just been phenomenal. When I think about it, impacted so many coaches, but when you multiply that, say, by 15 to 20, because each coach impacts anywhere between 15 and 20 players, right?
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir. That's correct.
They see what I'm doing, they transfer that over to their practices. So in regards, it's impacting millions of coaches and players worldwide.
Millions out there. Wow, because I'm one of those people that your video has actually impacted on, so I can attest to that. And I've imparted those knowledge to over hundreds of players. So multiply it, you're literally touching millions of life out there. I'm really grateful, sir. So literally
Chidi, let me just say, I'm really impressed because I've seen pictures of you, man. You know how to dress. You dress to impress. I want to know where you get your clothes from, man. I'm gonna start shopping it. I seen it. Hey, you got the jacket on, the tie. You look like a top FIFA agent. But listen, that says a lot about it. Says a lot about you, and we'll talk about this. During the interview later on, we'll touch base on it. But your verbal image, your body image, speaks volumes about who you are.
Wow.
And so immediately when I saw those pictures of you online, the impression I got was, there's a man who respects himself. His pants aren't halfway down his butt. He's not wearing a t-shirt all the time. He respects himself. He makes a statement when he comes out the house that, look, I'm in charge of my life. I'm taking care of myself. I've got you're not going to have respect for me if I don't have self-respect for myself, right?
Yes, sir. I'm really grateful to hear those words from you, sir. I'm truly grateful. Thank you very much. And we have we have some questions that have been compiled from the Hubs community, and they want to communicate with you. It just we can't have all of them come live. So I told them, okay, get your questions across. I'm going to compile them and I'm going to give it down to you. And I know that they'll be live watching this, and this video will be down so they can go back and watch it over and over again, because the learning process never stops.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Before you,
did you press record?
Yes, it's going to record automatically.
No,
It should be.
I've done so many interviews from my podcast, and great
Okay.
interviews, but I forgot to press record on the interview, so they were lost forever.
Definitely, this will be recorded. It will be uploaded, and you will see it. Definitely.
So for people out there who are watching me and Chidi right now, I asked him if he could send me a list of the questions that we'd probably ask, because as any good coach, you want to prepare, right?
Yeah,
Worst thing in the world is when you wing it. Have you ever went on an exam at school and not prepared? It doesn't feel good.
No.
So in everything you do, you've got to be prepared. So I asked him this morning, shoot me those questions.
You've mentioned Uganda. Have you stepped into the soil of Africa before?
No, but it is definitely something I want to do in my lifetime. And we were invited to Uganda this year to coach, but we've already got some schedules. We've been traveling around the world doing some stuff. We've been in Puerto Rico, in Barbados twice. We were in Scotland, in England, in Ireland, and we're actually planning a tour this summer. We haven't decided yet. We might go to Thailand.
Wow.
We might be doing a European tour. But someday, and possibly next summer, planning, I would love to visit Africa. I know the passion out there is unmatched. The passion for football is incredible. And I would love to see the culture, the soccer culture, the environment, the passion out there, and experience it firsthand, and get to meet some of the players and work with them. I'd love to do that. And have you featured on Soccer Coach TV?
That would be amazing. That would be truly amazing.
Chidi, have you been to the USA?
No, I've not been to the USA. I've not left Nigeria before, and I'm looking forward to it.
You've got to come and visit us. If you ever want to come out and pay a visit, I'd be happy to host you here in Connecticut.
Wow! You had Coach Green. So everybody, hey, you have to work hard so I can go visit Coach Green. It has been my life dream to see this coach, and here I am. I'm living the dream right now.
Everybody now send in $20 so Chidi can come in there, stay in America.
Yeah. I would love to.
The guy's doing a great job. Come on, show some love.
Well, definitely I'm going to do a crowdfunding, so I'll come visit you this year or next year. Definitely, I'll be coming to the USA for sure.
It'd be great to meet you.
So getting into today's works, and let's get it. The first question actually I was asked by a player was to ask you this. Said, how do you approach players' development, and what methods do you use to improve the skills of your players? Because I have watched your drills and they're fantastic. So how do you do this?
Well, there's two things come to mind straight away. It's individual player development, and then how that player fits in with the players around him in the team setting. The individual player development side is that, we'll sit down and we'll talk about goals for each individual player before my season starts. And that'll be actually a continuous dialogue with that player throughout the season, setting individual goals, adjusting them, giving them feedback as an individual, seeing where his strengths are, seeing where his weaknesses lie. And often when we go to training, if we're working on specific techniques, we can emphasize certain areas of that technique for him, rather than, just generalizing the whole training session of a general technique. It's got to be specific to the players. How does he fit in the team? What is his role? What's his strengths? So we have to develop that as a player, and we do that in small-sided games. We do that in functional games. And then at the last point that you wanted to improve the skills, we take player development, we take a holistic approach. The mind,
holistic approach.
The body, and the spirit of the player. So it's not just about football that we're looking at. We're looking at all dimensions of it, the mental side of it, but also really what can we teach him about life and about life skills that are going to benefit him way longer after he finishes playing soccer.
Wow, this is amazing. And when you observe me, I'm always looking down is because I am writing actually. And I told our audience, you have to come here with your book and your pen because it's going to be so educative. And there are a lot of points here that you've made that I'm just taking note of. And being a grassroots,
Chidi, I've got stuff wrote down here, typed up, so I can email that to you, and you can email it to the coaches if you want. Anybody who wants it.
Wonderful. Yes, definitely. The full community will want that. I will want that because I want to learn as well, and it will be very, very nice to have that. Now, looking at because I have spoken with some players, sir, and one thing I've discovered is that some of us, when I was a grassroots player, I have made a lot of mistakes personally. So, what are some common mistakes that you see younger players make, and how do you help them overcome these challenges?
That's a great question, Chidi, and thank you for whoever sent that question in. Let's talk about technically first, some of the mistakes that we make technically. For me, probably the most common mistakes that kids make technically is the decision making when they're ready to receive a ball. They try to do very difficult things where the solution is very easy. Okay.
Wow.
For example, they don't really decide what their options are going to be. There's 4 options. When you get a pass from somebody, there's 4 options. You can run with the ball. Okay. You can dribble the ball. You can pass the ball, or you can shoot the ball. That decision's got to be made before you receive that pass. Would you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And so what tends to happen is that players take 2, 3, 4 touches of the ball because they neglect to make that decision decisively before they even get the ball. So normally, you know, the ball's passed to them, they'll control it, they'll get the head up, and then they'll scan around to see what their options are. But that's way too late. You've killed the tempo of the game. You're going to need 1 touch to control it, 2 touches to get it out of your feet, a 3rd touch to pass the ball along, short, or shoot. So they just slow the whole process down. If you're playing that way, and the guy next to you is playing that way, and the other player's playing that way, then it just becomes so methodical. It doesn't become a fast-paced game. You cannot counterattack quickly. So you've got to master the art of making decisions before you even receive the ball. That's number 1. So that's technically. Players, biggest mistake overall, they have a false belief that just because they train and they go to practice, that they are going to get better.
Wow.
They've got to get away from that thinking. Just because you go to practice doesn't mean you're going to get better, because if you're lazy, you're not going to get better. If you're undisciplined in your positioning, you're not going to get better. If the majority of passes you make in practice are inaccurate, you're not getting better. All you're doing is training to become a poorer player. So don't think because you work hard, you're going to get better. Hey, you know, probably in Africa, and I know where I come from, you know that hard work doesn't guarantee success. I know a lot of hard working people who have nothing to show for it, right?
Yes, sir.
It's the same in football. You can work hard and have nothing to show for it. It's the understanding. It's the understanding that it's the attention to every single detail, every pass. It's not the effort in training. It's the quality and consistency of absolute great technique. And if you get that, then you can start improving.
Wow. Because, you know, we've been taught about hard work. And, you know, as we grow up, we actually see that default, that working hard in the right direction to be able to get the right result. So it's not just all about just putting in the work. And you mentioned that because I was a grassroots player, and my coach always make mention of you have to put in the work, you have to come to practice, and all we do, we just repeat the same drills over and over again. And I never saw much improvement. So I was like, I felt maybe I was not good enough. Can you just tell me why does that happen?
Right. Well, you know what? Yeah, it's obviously it's a great ingredient to work hard. It's necessary because if you don't work hard, you don't have a chance to play well, right?
Yes.
And if you have a chance, if you work hard, you'll have a chance to play well. And if you have a chance to play well, you have a chance to win. If you don't work hard, you've got no chance to play well. So working hard's important, but it's not the only thing. You can work hard. I've experienced a lot of players that I've coached who bust their tails off in practice, but they keep making the same technical mistakes when they get the ball. They keep making bad passes. So hard work, you have to separate hard work from quality technique too. The two different things.
Wow.
Hard work is the gas in your engine, right?
Yes, sir.
Hard work's that thing that drives you and drives you and drives you. But the passing is your steering wheel. It's taking you in a certain direction, you know? So basically, the attention the coach must have is, yeah, they can be working hard, but ultimately, what are you doing? For example, let's say we were playing a 5v5 in a small area with big goals, goalkeeper in each goal, so you can shoot from short range, right?
Yes.
So it's shooting practice. 5v5, put the ball in, rapid shooting, bang, 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 5v5. So anytime you get the ball, you're within a range of having a shot on target. Now, and those players are working incredibly hard. It's combative, they're going at it, but the shots are going over the crossbar, right? They're working hard, but they're not achieving the goal we want to achieve.
Yes.
That's putting the ball in the back of the net. So if you just continue that practice without changing it, to get that ball on target and eventually scoring goals on a regular basis, then all you've achieved is an intense shooting drill that makes players poorer goal scorers.
That's true.
I mean, what are you teaching? If the ball's not going in your net, what are you teaching?
Oh, wow.
You're teaching a player to be very close to the goal, but not a goal scorer.
Not a goal scorer.
Yeah. But, you know, that's important.
Wow.
That's very important.
So, because when, just like you mentioned, you've actually succeeded in creating a player who, instead of scoring the goal, he does what is close to the goal. So, and most of the time, this actually affects the mentality of the players. You know, before the game, you already defeated, like, I've tried and tried and tried. This doesn't work out. I'm not good enough. So I really want you to tell us what role do you think mental and psychological preparation plays in game of soccer, and how do you help your players develop a strong mindset?
Well, soccer's a mental game. It's a game of mental toughness, resilience, right? You've got it. The mental part is huge in that, and how the coach cultivates that mental part. Who do you speak to the most in a soccer game as a player? When you played, who did you speak to the most?
My teammates.
Okay. In your everyday life, give me a name of somebody you speak. Who do you speak to the most?
My mom.
No, you don't. You don't speak to your teammates the most in a game. You don't speak to your mom every day more than anybody else. The person you speak to every day is yourself, right? So the importance of self-talk to yourself. What are you saying to yourself? The mental side of the game is critical, right? It's critical. So here's the thing. If you agree with me that self-talk is what you do. You talk to yourself more than anybody else. Is important, then you better have an absolutely great relationship with yourself, right?
Wow.
You can't be an enemy to yourself. You've got to have a great relationship to yourself. And, you know, I went on a meditation retreat for 10 days, and we had to meditate for 100 hours in 10 days. And and we had to obey to a thing called noble silence. Noble silence is when you meditate and you just don't talk. Monks can do it for months, right? And and there's a reason for that, and the reason is because the more you contemplate a question, the more you think about a question, the better the response is that you're going to give somebody.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
But the thing is, this thing was called noble silence. We weren't allowed to talk to anybody for 10 days. And it sounds great, noble silence, but let me tell you, Judy, it was not silent. It was the noisiest conversation for 10 days I've ever had. But that conversation was going up here, right? I was asking it was a non-stop conversation for 10 days because I couldn't speak to anybody. And but again, what you say to yourself in practice, when you make mistakes, when you're down 3-0, when the coach gets on your case, what you say to yourself matters. Words matter. Words are the most powerful thing you can use. They can destroy people, or they can raise people up to the highest mountain. So on the mental side, yes, it requires tremendous amount of focus, tremendous amount of concentration, and as you said, mental toughness. And the mental side of it too, you've got to be composed. You've got to have that capacity to be able to be composed under pressure, which is emotional control, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right? So,
yes, sir.
And an emotional control, let's say me and you were arguing, right? And you owed me $50. Make it 100.
Okay.
And I've been asking you for weeks, and we get into beef and we start arguing, and our emotions get really high, right?
Hi.
So what happens if you don't have emotional control? What happens when those emotions get too high? You become less rational, right?
Yes, sir.
You become less composed, less rational. When your emotions are high, your rational side, or the rational side of your thoughts get lower. You're not thinking about being rational. You're all emotional. That happens in games. You see that with players who just go crazy with the referee's call, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
I have been there before.
So there's all different situations like that. And that's why it's often good to have a mediator in situations like that, because they're coming from a calm perspective, right? Just on the facts.
Yeah.
They're not emotionally invested in me and you, but they could probably come in and give us some advice, right? Guys, calm down a little bit. Listen, okay, you don't have the money today. Give me it back. Can you give me $10? There'll be a resolution there, all right?
Yeah, yeah.
But again, the conversations that you have are very important, and you can role play with a player as a coach from the mental side. You can sit down and role play with him. Ask him. You can sit down and ask him about what he was thinking in that situation in the game. If you're playing back the video mentally, what was going through his mind in that situation when he was maybe screaming at another player, or he's letting his emotions fly. But you've got to have a total emotional control of yourself in the game, not just as a player, but as a coach. The coach has got to be a role model. Okay? And coaches feel they can yell at anybody. They can yell at the referee. They can yell at the linesman. They can yell at players. But they've got to be a role model for the players. If the players see the coach yelling at the ref, you know what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
The players think that's acceptable. So from a mental side, it's very, very important.
Wow, you made mention of something, and I wrote it down. You said not being an enemy to yourself. That word, it's can you do more justice to that? How can players actually, through their self-talk, become an enemy to themselves?
Oh man, I mean, if you do not have a good feeling about yourself, if you don't respect yourself, if you're blaming yourself, and it could be projected from a bad relationship you've been in, or maybe a parental situation. Listen, we all come from different environments. We all don't come from perfect homes, right?
Yes, sir.
There's spousal abuse, there's child abuse, there's alcoholism, there's all kinds of stuff. If you're living in that environment, you hear some really serious stuff, and it can affect you mentally. You know what? Hey, you're not good. You're a jerk. You're a waste of time. You're a bum. If somebody's telling you that every single day, eventually you might start to believe that, right? You're useless.
Yeah.
You can't play. And if all that is projected towards you, it'll certainly have an impact on your thoughts. Just like it would do if I said, Chidi, listen, you've got so much potential. You could be an outstanding player. More importantly, I think you impact this world in an absolutely phenomenal way. Your words of encouragement mean a lot, and they can get you through tough times. It can get you through tough times. So, yeah, I mean, you have to have a filter, okay? I just did a whole chapter on emotional control for my new website, and I talk about for soccer players, but people in general, that it's so important to have a delete button. If you've got trash on your computer, there's a button there, and what do?
You delete it.
You delete it, boom, and it's gone forever, right? We've got to have that same mentality in soccer games and in our life. If something happens out of your control, a bad situation, or you don't like it, don't let it pull you under. You've got to have that delete button and just move on. And listen, if you make a mistake in a game, let's put it in a game context. If you're a soccer player, you make a bad pass, 2 bad passes, 3 bad passes. Oh, now, you're losing it. Or you miss a penalty kick, right? You miss a penalty kick.
It can be frustrating.
The team's losing. If you let it manifest in you, you're just carrying it over to the next pass, right? To the next tackle, to the next game. You've got to let it go. And there's a talk I do on my website, and I hold, for example, here, I've got something in my hand here, right? This is a candle. There's not much left in it, but it's a candle. And if I hold it for 5 seconds, what will happen?
It's going to burn you. It's hot.
It's not like that was a bad example there. But anyway, just imagine if this was a 10-pound rock, okay? If I hold this 10-pound rock for 5 seconds, what will happen?
Well, you start feeling the weight a little.
After 5 seconds, I probably wouldn't feel anything, because look at me, I'm buff, man. I'm really strong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that. You won't feel nothing.
Chidi, if I held it for 10 minutes, what would happen?
Definitely at that moment, your hand will start sweating. Yeah, your hand will start sweating.
Exactly. All right. If I held it for 3 hours, what would happen?
Man, the hand is going to tell you, no, I don't want to hold this no more.
Right. What happens if I held it for 12 hours?
If I was to be a hand, I'm going to run away.
Yeah, I would start to feel it, right? It would start to hurt. If this was a 10-pound weight, it would start to hurt. My arms would cramp up. I'd feel the pain. I would feel stiff. I would feel the pressure. You're right. I would be trembling. The point is this: what happens when I let it go? I don't have that.
You're free.
And what happens? The longer you hold on to something, sometimes, the more painful it can become to you. And if something happens in your life which is tough, a bad situation, a bad thought, the longer you hold on to that, the tougher it gets. It manifests itself because you hold on to that bad thought, and then tomorrow you have another bad thought and another bad thought, and it can become overwhelming. That's why people have anxiety and depression and self-doubt. That's why you've got to have a delete button. Your good players do. You know what? During the World Cup, Chidi, when there was so many, it seemed like there was so many penalty shootouts. I mean, penalty.
Yeah.
Over at the end.
There are a whole lot of penalties. Yes.
Now, missing a penalty, missing a penalty kick in the World Cup, right? I was thinking, how do you recover from that mentally?
Wow, that's a tough
when the
one.
whole world's watching, how do you recover from that mentally? Does it take a week for those players? Does it take a year? Is it last them forever? I mean, how do you recover from that experience? You've got to have a delete button. You've got to erase it.
So when you talk about delete button, are you literally saying you just forget that something happened, or are you just going to act like nothing happened? So how do you activate that delete button?
Well, I think you've got to learn the lesson from it, from that situation, learn from it.
Okay.
For example, me and you could have been best friends, but then you did something really bad to me, or I did something really bad to you, and broke that trust, and you don't trust me anymore, and you're feeling bad about it, right? Now, you've learned from that experience, but I can't be dwelling on it that, hey, our friendship broke up because you did something really incredibly bad to me. I can't carry that for the rest of my life. It'll affect you, okay? I'll give you a metaphor. I had a friend one time who kind of did something really, I thought was just a terrible thing to me. I was nothing but kind to this person, and he betrayed me. And this is when I was younger. And it bothered me for about a year, right? Because I would see this guy around places, stuff like that. But it bothered me because I'd done so much for this person, and again, he betrayed me, and I just needed to stop thinking about it. And I happened to be at the beach one day, and there was a balloon there. I had this balloon, and I was sitting on the beach, and I let the balloon go, right? And I watched the balloon, sail up to the sky, and it got smaller and smaller until eventually it got into the clouds. There was a little bit of wind, and it just go away. And what I was thinking in my mind as that balloon was getting further away until it disappeared was that relationship I had with that person. And I said, once that balloon becomes invisible, that memory is going to be invisible to me. I made that decision, and I rarely ever thought about that situation again.
Wow. This is beyond just football. This is life in general, and this can be applied to our life itself. This is amazing. Wow. Thank you very much, sir, for that. And we are really, really running short of time, and we have some few more questions. So because we have coaches also that will be learning a whole lot from this, and waiting, because I've been talking a whole lot about players development and all the rest. So I want to know, how do you approach your team tactics and strategy, and what factors do you take into account when developing a game plan as a coach?
Well, strengths and weaknesses of your opponent is going to be
strengths and weaknesses,
right? And strengths and weaknesses of your own team also. You want to be playing to your strengths, and you want to be masking or hiding your weaknesses as a team too. Okay, so what are their strengths? We would take notes, watch videos, scout a team. A lot of times though, Chidis, you play games, that's the first time you've ever seen this team play. So there's an unknown factor. There's an unknown factor there, especially if you're playing like a tournament. A league game, you might have played that team before, but if you go to a tournament, so you don't know anything about them. So that end of the preparation, you have to really focus on your own team. The conditions of the conditions you're playing in, you have to factor in also. Is it raining? Is it on turf? Is it on mud? Is it hot? Is it cold weather? All of these types of things that you need to consider. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure I'm on the right page here. So, how are we going to set up our formation? You know, what style are we going to play? Are we going to play a pressing game? We're going to be playing a possession game as a team. Other factors we think about is game management. Are we all on the same page in terms of our game management, in terms of how we manage the game in certain areas of the game and also at certain times in the game? How do we manage the game when we're 2-0 up, right? How do we manage the game in the last 10 minutes if we're 1-0 up? How do we manage the game how do we manage the game if we're a man down? I mean, Newcastle United got Pope sent off, the goalkeeper, the other day against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And so they had to take a field player out to adjust for that because they put a goalkeeper in.
Yeah.
A lot of that planning, you got to plan ahead. What happens? You got to have a plan B. So every time you go to a game, play a game, just write some notes on the bottom. If this situation occurs, if we lose a man, how do we want to play? It's worth it to invest some time in your training, even if it's just one session or half an hour, to practice in your training sessions playing with a man down with 10 against 11. Because that situation may occur. And it's happening a lot, seems like a lot in the Premier League now. The in-game adjustments you've got to make. Like we said, you've got a man it's a game, you go a man down, you've got to make those kind of adjustments into the game. Or tactically, Chidi, you go in, how many times have you went in with a great game plan and it just doesn't work out? Right? We played this team one time that were a great team. It was the University of Virginia, one of the best teams in the country. And I decided as the coach, we didn't have really as many skillful players. We had some, but not as many as this team. So I says, basically, as you refer to, we're going to park the bus. We're going to sit in deep. We're going to allow them to come to us, and we're going to play more of a counter-attacking game. We trained all week for that. 5 sessions, right? To play. We had our reserve team to simulate the style of our opponents. We went on a road trip. It was like a 5-hour bus ride to play this team. It was a night game, huge crowd there. I give a motivational talk to my players. They're pumped up. You know, we're gonna park the bus. We're gonna
crush it.
Yeah, we're gonna win this game 1-0. So, Chidi, in the first 5 minutes, they scored. So you can't park the bus anymore, right? You got to bring it out the garage. So your whole game plan, you may as well just take it and rip it up, you know. So you've got to have a plan B, and you got to have a plan C. Okay. So
This is amazing. Like having a plan A, having a plan B, having a plan C. It's really amazing because there are sometimes you actually go to the game with that belief that this system is going to work, and by the end of the day you're like, what happened? And now I understand. That is awesome and good. And also
you can't undervalue the skill of preparation, right? You can't undervalue. If you don't prepare, you're preparing to fail. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. This is amazing. And there's this particular saying that my dad always told me. He's always like, a house divided against itself will never stand. And I have witnessed this also in football teams. Anytime we are playing, there have been situations where we have, like, in a team there have been a division. Maybe this player prefers this player, and it seems like a division. It's like there's a loss of chemistry in the team. So I want to know, how do you build team chemistry and encourage team bonding both on and off the field for your players?
Well, team building for me as a coach, you know, I'm launching my new platform on team building, and I'm also publishing a book pretty soon on team building. It's done, it's ready, and
wonderful.
I've always endorsed team building. For me, team building is the #1 important aspect of a coach. because it is a team game, and good players, Chidi, don't make a good team. Don't necessarily make a good team. Would you agree with that?
Wow. Yeah.
Because they may
True,
not be
sir.
able to work together. They may not respect each other. They may
Yeah.
not trust each
Each
other.
other.
There might be egos on the team. The people in there for all different incentives. So you got to buy into one common cause. Okay, and I'll give you an example of a true team. Remember when Leicester City won the Premier League a few years back?
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, they did not have the best players in the league.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they had the best team in the league, right?
That is true.
It's all in their belief system, but team building is huge. Team building is a huge part of every single aspect that I do. In my warm-up, in our training sessions, in the locker room, pre-game, after the game, off the field exercises that we do a lot of different stuff on team building on and off the field. But I just made a couple of notes here for you. It starts with the coach. You can't have team chemistry. It's really hard to have team chemistry if the leader of that team, if the coach of that team is not passionate, is not sincere, is not motivational.
Wow.
Okay. I think it's very unique to have a team that has great chemistry and a cause together. And you see it when a team is truly a team. Okay. You see it. Even before you see it, you hear it. You can be 50 yards away from the field and you hear their chemistry out there. Okay. But I think it starts with the leader. It starts with you. You're going to have to be the light. Every time you walk in that locker room, it brightens up. You change the mood of the players. Every time you step on the practice field, they can feel the energy off you. They feed off your energy as the coach. So no player should have more energy and passion and enthusiasm than the coach himself. He should be the example. Yeah. I tell my players, match my energy. None of you will match my energy in training. And that's the goal that I tell them to do. Match my positivity in training. It all starts with that. But there's a lot of elements to team building. You know, it's very important. First of all, you've got to identify, before you talk about team building, you've got to identify the characteristics of your team. What needs to be improved? Yeah. Maybe you've got a bunch of guys who don't talk, right? They just don't communicate well. So that's going to be a high priority for you in team building. Or maybe your team has some real internal conflicts going on, right, with each other. There's one fraction here, there's another group there. One might be older players. There's some younger players coming in who are starting, and now the older players don't like it. You're taking over the team. So you're going to have to deal with those issues. That's going to be priority in terms of relationship building. Not team building, but individual relationships. You've got to be mending some fences there, okay? Diversity. There's respect for diversity. You might have all different types of diversity, and you have to have a respect for that diversity within your team. Conflict resolution is huge. We were talking before about arguing. How do you resolve conflicts in your team? Because listen, even in the best families, let alone teams, you have arguments, right?
That's true.
So how do you solve those? The website that I put together includes every single component that you need to address and focus on in team building. And it's a very interesting website. It comes with tons of videos to show you how to do certain things. But yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about team building and the aspects of life lessons and life skills, GD. And this is what I'm big on, and this is what I want to elevate this message to coaches all over the world. Okay. Remember, we're not teaching soccer. We are teaching people.
Wow.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the word team building gets thrown around a lot, okay? And life skills, life lessons gets thrown around a lot. How do most coaches teach life skills to players? Well, let me back that up a second. First of all, what are life skills and what are life lessons? There's a difference, okay? Life lessons are something that you learn through an experience, a personal experience. For example, Chidi, like we said, you lend me $50 and I'll give it back tomorrow, okay?
Yeah.
You never see me again. I don't give you the money. What life lesson did you learn there?
Never to trust you again.
Exactly. You learned trust,
to learn.
right?
Yeah.
You learned a lesson. You learned a lesson about trust. Whereas life skills are something that you can continually progress towards getting better. It's the more practical life skills. For example, communication is a life skill, right?
Yes. Yeah.
For me, it's one of the top life skills that every coach should be teaching. And I'm not talking just in the context of it on the soccer field and practicing games. And that's where the conversation normally ends with coaches. And what I mean by that is this. Okay, let's take one life skill, communication, for example. You're in a training ground or in a game, halftime, you know, your goalie, and well, you're down 1-0 because your goalkeeper didn't communicate how many defenders he wanted in the wall on the defensive wall on the free kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you say to your goalie, you know, hey Max, listen, you got to communicate with the defense. You got to let them know how many people need the wall. That's crucial because if you only put 2 men in there and we need 5, and then that's how they score the goal, it's going to be a problem. So he understands that, how it fits in the game. He values that. Or if I'm the captain and I'm telling you, I said, Chidi, come on, you got to stop yelling at the referee. You're going to get a yellow card, or you might even get a red card and get sent off. Now, and we're winning 1-0. There's only 15 minutes left, and you're getting heated up. If we don't have that communication between the two of us, if you don't listen to me, you might say, hey, screw you, right?
Yeah.
So, because communication is not just about talking, it's about listening.
Wow. Yes, sir.
Right? So you understand that, though, from the perspective it's on the field. And that's where coaches stop coaching life skills. You have to make it clear why these life skills are so important for them after they play football, how it benefits them. You go for a job, and there's 6 other people in that room, in the hallway, waiting to be interviewed for the same job. If you can't intelligently articulate your values, your principles, your passions verbally, you're not getting that job. There's going to be times in nearly every player you coach, there's going to be times where they'll have to stand up in front of a group of people and explain something, right? Can they master the art of conversation? It is incredible. And one of the challenges is that a lot of young kids, I'm not sure what it's like in Africa, but certainly in America, a lot of young adults cannot communicate effectively. They spend 80% of their time as young adults communicating electronically, not face to face.
Yeah.
And so
that's true.
And communication is something you're going to need in every relationship you'll ever have for the rest of your life, correct?
Correct.
So here's my point. You can teach kids all you want about pressing the ball, defending, scoring goals, heading the ball. Every hour you've invested into teaching that has a shelf life. The shelf life expires when the kid does what? When the kid stops playing, right? When the kid stops playing soccer, all those hours you invested on these technical skills, these tactical skills, are wasted. He's not going to kick the ball anymore. But the time you put into teaching these kids life skills, along with soccer skills, are going to last them until they're in their 70s. It's going to stay with them
Yeah,
forever. And not only
that's
that,
true.
the impact it's
Wow,
going to have, on his family, on his relationships in the community, because it's much more important to develop better people than better soccer players.
wow,
We're in the people business,
wow.
okay? And so it's incredibly important for us to really look at this narrative that we think we have as coaches, that we're teaching these people life skills, and all reality we're not, or very little. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to call you out a little bit, Chidi. I just want you to be honest with me, okay?
All right, I'm here with you.
Okay, what age group do you coach?
More, I coach more of under 17.
Okay, under 17 boys.
Yes.
So they're at the crossroads of manhood, right? They
Yes,
need
sir.
guidance.
Yes.
They need guidance more than anybody, because they're going to be independent pretty soon,
18.
financially, and all those kind. They're going to be entering different relationships. My number one life skill that I selected in my book and on my website, the number one life skill was finding the purpose in life. What's your purpose? Everybody asks that question. I bet you every one of your players lie in bed and think about, what am I going to be doing with my future? Right?
Yeah.
There is a roadmap for that. But the question I was going to ask you is this: when you have a practice with your team, do you write it down? Do you write it down? Be honest with me. Do you write it down on a piece of paper?
Not really. I don't.
Well, how do you plan for your practice? Just mentally?
Sometimes though, like I told you, what I do is after I watch most of the drills, I actually learn from you. Some of them I have a part for that, so I prepare that down and I communicate with the players. These are the things we are going to be learning, and sometimes so I have coaches around that does most of the job of the coaching. So more like I do more of the supervision and not really the coaching.
Okay. So let me ask, how long have you been coaching?
2 years.
2 years. That's great. Hey, the world needs more people like you, man. You're fantastic.
Thank you very much.
So listen, you're a soccer player who's obviously played for a long time, right? And you've been a coach for 2 years now. Now, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Don't want you to be sitting there thinking about this for too long. Straight away, shoot it right off. You ready?
All right, I'm here with you.
What are the 3 most important soccer techniques to teach a player? Soccer techniques on the field. He's going to use on the field in the game. What are the 3? Quickly now. What are they?
Soccer techniques to teach my players. Whoa. Okay. Let me come out here right now. Most programs we organize, like I said, I do less of the coaching because I have professional coaches that handles these players, and more of what I do is supervise.
What are they teaching the most that you see?
Well, okay, the last program actually, I was very vigilant to know what the coaches was doing. It's more of the passing drills.
Right. So let me reframe this whole thing, okay? Because I didn't want to put you on the spot. But I've asked this
No
question.
problem.
I've asked this question to hundreds of coaches, and I'll ask you,
okay.
Coach, okay, what are the 3 most important soccer skills to teach a player on the field? And they'll say it straight away: passing, defending, dribbling, shooting, whatever. But there's no hesitation. A nanosecond. Passing, shooting, heading. Then I'll follow it up with this question: what are the 3 most important life skills that you should be teaching a player that's going to resonate with him and have the biggest impact on his future self? You know what the response is? It's a pause. So, and that tells me you've never seriously you think you teach life skills, We think we teach life skills, but we never really seriously we never ponder it or examine it and look at it as much as we do soccer skills. Well, we know, but these coaches don't know for sure. Or they'll come back and say, well, teamwork, communication, commitment. I mean, those are the three most obvious things that you could pull out of the air. So what I did, I looked at pretty much nearly every life skill you could teach. There's hundreds of them, right?
Wow.
And I put together a list of my top life skills that every coach should teach young people, okay? And it's a great investment. It's an investment that's going to last a lifetime. Players love it because they're looking for guidance. Hey, Didi, look at approximately 50% of the kids that we're coaching are coming from single parent families. Okay.
Wow. Yes, sir.
And often kids from single parent families may not have a father figure or an adult, responsible adult figure. Maybe the mom's working out 3 jobs to pay for, the kids' food and rent and all this kind of stuff. The need, the coach, a coach said to me the other day, it's not our job to teach life skills. It's our job to teach soccer. It's not our job to teach kids about life. And I said, well, I'm assuming you love kids. That's why you're coaching, right? And a coach is often one of the most respected people in a young player's lives. It's somebody they look up to, somebody they emulate. Most people get into coaching or were inspired by their coach. They think, man,
yes, sir,
inspired me. I want to coach too, or I want to teach.
True.
Okay, so you are one of the most influential people in a young man or a young woman's life. Why wouldn't you want to guide them to a better life? Or what are you saying is that soccer skills are more important than teaching them life?
The life skill. No.
Because listen, they're going to bring back more to the community. My tagline, my mantra is, better people make better teams. Better players don't make better teams. Better people make better teams. Better players can come into a team and destroy a team. So,
wow.
I think sometime I'll come back and chat with you, and we can do a whole show about the life skills and life lessons that we should be teaching. Listen, when I talk about communication in terms of life skills, number one tip I tell my young men: tell this to your boy, so it's 17, because it's the perfect age. Okay, tell him that it is way 1,000 times more important. Okay, to be intellectually attractive than physically attractive. Okay. Our kids get so caught up on what they're wearing, how they look, okay? But if you can't communicate, articulate in a conversation, to possess the art of a meaningful and interesting conversation, that might be your last date, your first date.
Yeah.
Right? Because listen.
Yes, sir.
You could be handsome, good-looking guy, really dressed nice, all of expensive stuff. You're going to date with a partner. If you're boring, it's not going to last long. If you can't communicate, it's not going to last long.
That's right? True.
It might be one night. But if you're a decent-looking guy like me, and you can express, talk, communicate, if you're interested, you're going to have people lining up at the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the most important thing, tell the guys, if you want to date, be successful. If you want to if you want a happy relationship with your family, if you want a good job, if you want to make money, number one thing, master the art of having an interesting and purposeful, meaningful conversation. A lot of kids can't. A lot of kids can't. We really need to help them out with that as coaches.
Wow. This has been an amazing section. Like, I have learned a whole lot. My my mindset and my perspective about coaching and everything about soccer has literally just had a U-turn. It's it's now bigger than just soccer. It's more than just the business of playing the soccer. It's not about the business of grooming people. This is wow. And I believe not just me, everybody listening to this, especially the coaches, must be rethinking the reason why they got into the soccer industry from the first place.
Right.
And this is super amazing. This is amazing. And finally, I will say, I'll ask her, so finally, how do you define, based on everything we've been talking about, how do you define success as a coach, and what do you hope to achieve in your coaching career in the years to come? Let's just wrap up with this, because I know you are very busy and we appreciate the time you've given to us. So how do you define success as a coach, and what are you looking forward to?
Well, you know what? I know what I don't define my success as winning championships. For me, winning,
Okay.
just because you're a winning coach doesn't mean you're a successful coach. Because I know a lot of absolutely,
Oh,
totally horrible
nice.
coaches who won championships.
So can you repeat that again? Can you just repeat that line again? Can
I
you repeat that line again?
just because you win doesn't mean you're successful. I know
Wow.
a hell of a lot of coaches who are the worst people in the world, and I would never want them anywhere near my kids, and they win championships, you know. And so
Wow.
let's not kid ourselves. For me, what drives me is every day that I step in a practice field or in a game is to teach my kids something about life, teach them something about themselves that they don't know, or
Wow.
guide them, shine a light on an area of their life that maybe they didn't know was possible, and to see a better version of them than they see of themselves. And
Mm.
so basically trying to rise them up and take them to another level, spiritually, emotionally, physically, in all different areas. I want my players to think back. Look, really, Chidi, if the players won a championship, says, yeah, we won a championship, but you know what? Coach was terrible to us. I hated that guy. I hated practice. What's the point? Have a great experience every
Wow.
single day you're together. Guide them like you would guide your own children. You know, you want them to do well. You want to be successful. Everybody benefits from it. Families, communities, teams, everybody benefits from a more holistic approach to caring about the
Yeah.
caring about his skills. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and the final thing is, yeah, what I would like to do, I want to continue to mentor coaches like this internationally. I've coached around the world, mentored coaches around the world in this kind of format also, is to continue creating creative content. The way I learn is I create content every single day, looking for new ideas, taking my ideas from all different places in the game, learning from friends, learning from coaches, learning from TikTok. You know, one of my favorite platforms to learn from is TikTok. And it's not
TikTok.
soccer. Yeah, and it's not soccer related. I listen to
Wow.
motivational, inspirational. You got to use a filter, or you're just getting a load of junk. But if you put the filter on motivational, there's some great people out there with creative ideas that you can
Wow.
modify for your causes. Okay, just save all the best
Wow.
videos, digest what they're saying. How does it apply to your life, your team, your job, and pass that on. You don't have to reinvent everything. You can change things that other people have or their ideas, whether it's in a Fortune 500 company, whether it's a basketball team, a hockey team, whatever. You can learn from every different sport too, how a coach organizes his practice. So don't just look at being a coach with the eyes of a soccer coach. Look at the whole world around you, where you can learn and what you can teach to your players. Judy, it's been a real pleasure being on your show. I'm really thankful and humble that you've invited me on here, and let's stay in touch with each other.
We are not done.
Oh, okay.
we are not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not done. Then you told me about your book that is coming up, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of people I've heard about Soccer Clinic, and there's so much content in the soccer. Now everybody listening to this, please, if you're on YouTube, you want to be in Soccer Coach TV, you must be in that platform. You just have to subscribe to that platform. You have no other option. If you're in the Hubs community, you have to be there. It's important. Then you're talking about the books, because you when we are talking discussing, you told me about the books that is coming up, the materials. I know a lot of coaches here who want to know, how can they get some of your materials? Let's talk about these materials you've actually that you're using to impact coaches all over the world. So how can we get access to them and the
Right.
website?
Well, the new website will go up in about 4 weeks, and
Okay.
it's been over a year's work, like every single day working on this project. It is so unique. There's not a website in the world that is dedicated and is went into deep in team building as this one is. The website's called soccerteambuilding.com. It's not up there yet. If you type it on the internet, you're not going to find it. It's we're still putting together, doing some proofreading and stuff like that. But all the content's being done. Tons of videos.
Wow.
A massive section on all aspects of team building, as we said before. What is team building? Why is it important? The team building blocks, team communication, diversity in a team, relationship building, conflict resolutions, goal setting, how to have feedback,
Wow.
how to give players feedback. Every aspect's in there. And then it also provides you with tons and tons of videos of team building exercises that I do with my players. So you can see the videos and print out the drills. It also provides you with a whole other section of team talks that I give to players about life.
Yeah.
So if you're a young coach and you want to model some of the stuff that I do, see, one of the problems with teaching life skills, Chidi, is that if you're a young coach, you really don't have much life skills yourself, much life experience, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
so how do you teach, 10-year
What you
olds,
don't have.
12-year olds life skills if you're only 21? And so there's ways around that. There's definitely ways around that. But I address that in the platform. You got to get a mentor too. Find the mentor in life
Yes,
is
sir.
huge. That you can guide, look, getting examples from other coaches. And that's why I provide videos. I'm all mic'd up. You can hear every word. Videos of me giving life lesson talks to my team on different topics. For example, there's a video I really love. At the end of practice, Chidi, normally you'd say, guys, help pick up the cones, right?
Yeah.
At the end of practice. And normally most of the players will do it, but there's always the same people who just go straight home. They don't bother, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a video that I'm talking about a life lesson about this. So I said, why is it important to pick up the cones, right? As a person, why is it important? What's called servant leadership. It's called doing things with other people without expecting anything in return. When you don't pick up the cones, what you are inadvertently saying to the team and to the coach, hey, I'm above that. You do it, I'm above it. That job's beneath me, right? So it reveals a lot about yourself as a person. And that, again, one of the life skills is servant leadership.
Leadership.
And teach kids, hey, does your parents have to get at you and yell at you and scream at you to cut the lawn or to take the garbage out or whatever? Or do you just take initiative, do it yourself because it's the right thing to do? Doing things for that. Do you go out and help in the community, doing things with other people? Senior citizens' homes, going up and helping collect trash and clean up the local park. All of these are great qualities to have, But and then there's a whole section on life skills, and I've listed all the top ones. But it gives you a video explaining why explaining why is empathy important in life. You know, why is emotional control? We talked a little bit about that before. Why is that? Why is that important in life? How do you keep family relationships? You know, how do you maintain family relationships? They're all important. Self-care, gratitude, all these different things are important. But listen, there's videos with them, explain them, there's printouts, and it is a massive site. I'm very proud of it. It's unique. You won't find anything like that out there. If you type in team building on Google, that the only team building stuff that will come up is for corporate companies, Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
Team building within the corporate world. There's nothing for soccer.
Yeah.
You might find one or two will, but this is the first time anybody has ever put together this body of work to understand, clearly understand. Because listen, I believe in team building. I inspire people with my teams. But one thing I never did was I never researched life skills to figure out what are the most important 20 life skills to learn. Teaching life skills to your players. Tell me this. How did you decide which ones were the most important? Because in itself, that's important, because if you're teaching soccer skills, don't you want to teach the most important ones first?
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't do bicycle kicks for 3 hours every practice, right? Because you never use it.
No. Yes, sir.
You would do something that's good. So what I did was I researched all the life skills I could find, and I measured the metrics I used was that frequency, how useful those life skills were, and how often those life skills would be used on a regular basis, right? So as I said, at the top of the game there, I said, communication's number 2. You know, you communicate every single day. How you communicate, that is a very critical
life skill.
A life skill to have. And so it goes down, you know, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. But it explains all that stuff in the website. But listen, when I launch it, Chidi, I'll be happy to give you a free membership so you can take a look at it and see what you think, and just remind me on.
I got it. Definitely, I will.
So listen, that money must be rolling in now for that USA trip, is it?
Actually, you know,
we're going to start a GoFundMe page, man. You should start one of those.
Rex, yes, I'm going to do that, and I'm looking forward to meeting you live. It has been a wonderful section.
Yeah, come and visit us.
It has been a wonderful. I will do that. And before we go, I would like to appreciate some special people that have been wonderful towards my career, and they have been the ones pushing me, because you know, you can't do it alone in the soccer industry. You need mentors, you need fathers, you need people, and the likes of Mr. Bayonle Arashi has been doing a whole lot for me. He has been amazing. The likes of Yisa Aziz, my videographer, is an amazing individual. He has taken a whole lot of sacrifice just to ensure that there are good coverages for the grassroots, because what we are doing is not just it's not for a particular team. We are doing it for the grassroots entirely. So we are dedicated toward their education. We're dedicated toward their promotion. So we've been holding programs in different parts of Nigeria, and we are thinking of expanding to the neighboring African nation. And this guy, Mr. Yisa Aziz, has been there for us, and he has been doing a whole lot for us. Then we have what we call the Hubs community on WhatsApp, a group of coaches and players that support what we do. So I just want to appreciate them, and having you too. You've been selflessly putting up a whole lot of resources that are worth millions. If we were to convert it to money, they are worth. In fact, what I've learned today is worth more than money, because it goes beyond just it's worth more than just having dollars. I have learned a whole lot things about life and soccer all together. And right now, I'm just going back to my bed and like revisit everything and ask myself back again. I know why I'm in this, but I just need to reevaluate it again to ensure it's in alignment with building people and not just all about playing soccer football. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for having you. Then also, what is your last word for our community before we say a close to this section?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. And again, I've been inspired by you. My last word is bit of advice for you is every morning when you wake up, just say to yourself, who do I want to spend my time with? Where do I want to spend my time? And how do I want to spend my time? Because listen, at the end of the day, the most valuable commodity you'll have in your life is time. And you've got to have a great relationship with that. I read somewhere the other day, Chidi, that the average lifespan of a human being is 76 years, right? But that translates 76 years is only 4,000 weeks, right?
Wow.
So listen, 4,000 weeks. For about 1,500 of those weeks, you're asleep in bed, right?
Yeah.
So you're only alive, running around active for 2,500 weeks. So 2,500 weeks, you got to go to nursery school. You got to go to middle school. You got to learn how to run. You got to learn how to climb a rope. You got to learn math. You got to learn English. You got to learn sciences, right? You go to high school. You got to learn about relationships now. You may be playing on a sports team. You maybe got a part-time job. After high school, you going to college, or you going into some kind of job straight from high school into college. Then you're talking about you got to find a house or a place to rent. You got to get a job. You got to get a career. Maybe you got to get 2 careers or 3 careers. Maybe a side hustle. You got to get a partner. Maybe you get married. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you fall in love. Have kids. Maybe you get divorced. Maybe you fall in love again. I mean, you've got health issues. You've got aspirations, goals. All of that stuff has to squeeze into 2,500 weeks. You've got to value every single second that you have, whether it's with friends, family, on the soccer field, and not let the minor things, the problems in life really weigh you down, because that's eaten up all of those valuable seconds that you'll never get back. Time is the most important thing you have. So, hey, have a good life, my friends. Thank you, Africa.
Thank you very much. I was looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you from Connecticut, USA. Hey, have you heard?
Thank you so much.
Have you heard of ESPN?
EXPN. Yeah. I have the shirt right here.
Yeah. Well, my house is right next door to ESPN. It's right down the street.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was part of a coaching a coaching education organized by ESPN, and it's wonderful.
All right, Chidi. All right, I'll let you go, brother.
All right.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you very much.